Raul Caneda, a man described by Pep Guardiola as a privileged mind that he had a pleasure to learn from. And knowing Pep Guardiola, he wouldn't just say something like that about anyone. And knowing Pep Guardiola, the fact that he even worked with this man tells us that he's a real big deal. And now, apparently, he has submitted his CV to Kaizer Chiefs. And on top of that, someone by the name of Innocent Mkhize works for Farpost has just kind of confirmed those rumors by saying Kaizer Chiefs are also interested in signing the coach. Let's look at his CV, look at the pros and cons of signing this coach. Hello and welcome to Coast Nation Fan TV. I am Pelo, I am your host, and this is where fans meet and talk about Kaizer Chiefs. Amakosi Football Club. Right, let's look at who this guy is. He's a 54-year-old Spanish coach, and the moment I say that, I know a lot of people are thinking, oh yes, the European coach, the one that we've been looking for. And he started his career obviously as an assistant to the current Manchester City assistant coach by the name of Manuel Lillo, who's still Pep Guardiola's assistant coach. And obviously the relationship between Pep Guardiola and Manuel Lillo is also great. And because of that, one of the things that ended up happening is the fact that this Raul ended up being an external analyst to Manchester City, and to think that Pep Guardiola values this guy so much that he made him his external analyst means a lot about him as well. So obviously he continues coaching, has coached teams like Al Ittihad in Saudi Arabia. He has coached teams like Al Nassr in Saudi Arabia. He's been an assistant coach at Real Sociedad in Spain in their Premier Division. So his CV does say, yeah, it's looking good. But this does not just say he's a great coach and Kaizer Chiefs should go out and actually sign him. And we're going to go through the pros and cons that I have seen from reading and going through his website, because he also has his own website where basically it's just his CV where he's writing about the things that he has done as the coach. Now, what I will say obviously is that the first pro is the fact that working with Pep Guardiola and just working with Pep on its own, we're not even talking about whether or not he fired you. The fact that you were even considered to work with Pep tells me that he must be a really good asset and his understanding of the game must be on a next level. We saw what happened with the coach like Mikel Arteta. He was Pep Guardiola's assistant coach. The next thing you know, he goes to Arsenal and then he starts competing with Man City. And you can even see right now with Arsenal that they are playing really beautiful football, and it shows that the coach who's there understands what he's doing. So if anyone like Pep Guardiola gets a person to work with them, that's a huge plus, which means his football understanding is great. And also not just the fact that he worked with Pep Guardiola, well, it is also related to that fact, because if you think about the kind of football that Pep Guardiola plays, is the kind of football where they keep the ball, they pass the ball around, create a lot of chances and score goals. And what does Kaizer Chiefs want to do? Play the ball, dominate in position, and end up scoring those goals, obviously. But this obviously does not come without its cons, right? We'll talk about a con right now. But for a moment, the con is that you have not subscribed to the channel, and yet 70% of you watch this channel and they're not subscribed to this channel. That's a weird thing to say. Anyways, please do make sure to like the video. Please do make sure to subscribe to the channel and leave a comment letting me know what you think about this whole situation. So now that you've done that, let's go to the con. The first con is obviously the fact that if I look at his CV, if for lack of a better term, I see that he only lasts an average of 7 months across the teams that he's coaching. And obviously that's a worrying factor, because that means he gets fired a lot of times from his teams. Yes, in his recent team that he coached in Saudi Arabia, Khor Fakkan, not in Saudi Arabia, UAE, he left because there was a family emergency during COVID, so he had to leave. That's understandable. But what about Al Ittihad? Al Ittihad, I would understand also leaving for a better team in Al Nassr. But the other teams, UD, Almeria, Real Sociedad, you see that his time spends that he's spending with these other teams are very short. And for me, that is also concerning. And it's also about the fact that you look at the fact that even with Man City continuing to fly high, he kind of fell off and didn't continue with them. Someone will say, obviously, Mpilo, don't make this a big deal because obviously people will not work together forever, right? But you think if you're hired as an external analyst, that means if you give more value to the team, then they are bound to give you a job as an internal analyst and maybe as a part of the technical team who sits on the bench. But maybe that's just not a big deal. We have to go through these things because if we don't, then we're going to have a problem. And another pro is the fact that he also himself, in the chances of getting this coach, is that he has submitted the CV himself, which means it's not just Kaizer Chiefs who went out and hunted for him. Because if he himself wants the job, that tells me that then the negotiation process, because we know that Kaizer Chiefs are difficult to negotiate and get people, it's kind of going to be easy because he already wants to come to Kaizer Chiefs. It's not like the Kaizer Chiefs management are the ones who went out and offered the job to him, but it was the other way around. Found out about the vacancy, and then I guess his agents then applied for the job because, it's one of the biggest clubs in Africa. Why would you not want to come and coach that club? So it kind of makes sense, and I'm happy that he can come and coach Kaizer Chiefs. And obviously, as I said earlier on in the video, working with Pep Guardiola is not just a small thing when it comes to you like knowing that I've worked with Pep Guardiola. Everyone who's worked with the coach would also tell you that wow, the understanding that he has. Even a player like Zlatan Ibrahimovic, a very excellent player who had a beef with Pep Guardiola, he still says to this day he doesn't respect Pep Guardiola as a man, but as a coach, he's the best there is. So you can tell that if someone has strong personal feelings against that person, yet they still appreciate how good they are as a coach, that just tells you that being around that person, if you don't learn something, it's because, well, you are just you and you don't want to learn anything. But also being in the peripheral vision, not peripheral vision, but even being seen by him and being seen as an asset to his development, to his team, that means a lot, and that could be a valuable asset. And also, obviously, because the situation with Pitso Mosimane, apparently Zamalek are negotiating with him, and Kaizer Chiefs and Pitso Mosimane. Some people wrote on the comments. I read a lot of comments. Some of them I didn't respond to. We're talking about how Pitso Mosimane is a different kind of coach, and he will not be controlled by our management, and because of that it might not click. So if the Pitso Mosimane deal is not possible, then you might as well just go for this coach who has applied and who also has quite a reasonable CV. Another thing that happened today is the fact that Kaizer Chiefs fans have been banned from attending the game against Cape Town Spurs because of the incident that happened. It's a lot. It's a lot. It is what it is. I expected this. So yeah, we'll see what will happen if Kaizer Chiefs fans misbehave again. But I hope that was the end of it, because now Chiefs says that they've gone an extra mile, because now there are criminal charges against the people who were filmed doing those things, and apparently they will be charged with 2 offenses. One is public violence, and the second one is malicious damage to property. So it's now getting really deep, because Kaizer Chiefs wants to prove to fans that, hey, you're not going to mess with our money like that and then get away with it. Obviously, they are now making it seem like it's just about tarnishing the name of Kaizer Chiefs, and not necessarily about Chiefs tarnishing the name of the brand by hiring a coach who's unqualified to do whatever he did. Obviously, I don't promote violence, but I will say this: knowing how your fans have acted in previous years when you appointed the wrong coach, why appoint another wrong coach again? Well, you see this. I will never, ever, ever, ever say violence is good. But once again, you know South Africans, you know how they behave. You're not going to then provoke them. Don't provoke them into doing something stupid. Right now, you are looking at coaches. So do your thorough research. This is just small things. It's still shaky. And obviously, they should also not just say, oh, he worked with Guardiola, so we hire him. They should look at all these other things, because if they don't, then we're going to end up having a situation with this Raul, the same situation that we had with Ntsegi. And I don't want to see that, because I don't like violence. What do you think about Raul Caneda and what do you think about this pen? Let me know down on the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching. Let's go to your homework. And until next time, remember, equals Alpelumoy.